Hello, ELA teachers. It's me, Miss James, and I have Jesse Ireland with us, who is like our favorite, one of Mifflin's favorites. And I asked him to come to talk to us, but because he's so busy running the whole district, basically, which is what he does. That's his job description. I thought he doesn't really have time to like come to all of our meetings and things like that. But I thought a video might be worthwhile. And what's the video going to be about? It'll be short and sweet. But I wanted it to be about learning intentions. Many of us, especially at our last meeting, we were talking about kind of getting dinged for learning intentions and not being sure exactly how to write them. And I thought I have to get the expert in to come and talk to us about that. So what we're going to do is, many of you know that next week or maybe the week after that, I'm going to try to start like a little reading group, and I want to do some close reading activities with our kids, because they're struggling a lot with, they'll read it, but with comprehending and really understanding what they read, and close reading protocols are what they need. So I'm going to do a little reading group similar to my writing group that I did. And I thought I need some learning intentions. I'm going to see if Jesse can help me think them through. So it's going to be kind of like a think aloud. Is that what you call this?
Yeah, think aloud.
Think aloud. We're going to do a think aloud, and you're going to get to see the process of how we go through actually writing them so that you can be ready to go. Isn't this a great idea? Don't I think of great ideas?
You do.
Thanks. So let's get started. You got to coach me. I'm not the coach anymore. What do I do? How do I start?
All right, so let's talk about what student outcomes are you trying to get out of the lesson or task that you have the students do?
Okay, so the first thing I would think about is, what are the outcomes?
What are the outcomes? What is it you want students to be able to do as a result of participating in a task or lesson that you're trying to get ready to go for?
Well, I'm having them close read because I feel like they need to be able to understand what they read or comprehend what they read on not just at the surface level, but at a deeper level. And they also need to be able to find, like if they read something and then there's a question, they need to be able to answer the question, comprehend it enough to answer the question, and find evidence for that question. Is that too much?
That's a little bit. So maybe let's narrow down a little bit. It sounds like overall you're trying to make sure students are comprehending what they read. But
Comprehending.
You're doing this through close reading. So you're using the strategy, close reading.
Correct.
But really, you want them to be able to comprehend at a deeper level what they're reading.
Yeah, and then if they comprehend, then they'll be able to answer questions, and they'll be able to, so comprehend what they read. Correct.
Yeah, so that's kind of the outcome we're shooting for using close reading. So it might take, several days, an ongoing approach, but it's essentially we want students to be able to comprehend the text better as a result of using the close reading strategy.
Correct.
So we want to make sure that your learning intentions and success criteria focus on the comprehension, not the strategy. Because you want to be able to have the students say, okay, once I'm able to do X, Y, or Z, then I'll be able to comprehend. So you don't want, breaking down the comprehension into manageable chunks that allow students to visibly see, hey, once I've done X, Y, and Z, I'm on the way towards comprehending this text at a deeper level. Now, you might be using the close reading strategy along the way to get there, but the learning and success criteria aren't focused on the strategy, they're focused on the outcome, which in this case is the comprehension of the text.
So would my outcome be that I want them, something about that, it is correct, I do want them to comprehend, but it feels like is that too vague?
It's a little bit vague. So I would think about what are the sub skills within comprehension. So as a teacher, okay, if I know I can visibly see students do X, Y, or Z, what are those sub skills that they would demonstrate to you, visibly demonstrate, that lets you know that they have comprehended the text?
Okay, so they would be, I think, highlighting. So using the close reading protocols, which is highlighting, annotating, all those kinds of things. So they're marking up the text. So would I say that I want them to comprehend using close reading protocols?
Yeah. So that could be a sample, something along those lines could be the sample learning intention. So as a student, I'll be able to, I am learning about how to comprehend the text utilizing close reading.
Okay. So how do I know that I have it?
Right. Now that's where your success criteria comes into play. So now, okay, now you have, this is what students are learning for during the latest lesson. Now, okay, as a student, what is it I'm going to be able to visibly do? What actions are measurable that I can, not only that I can see, so I can self-regulate and see if I'm how I'm doing, but so the teacher can see whether or not I'm on the pathway to comprehending. So you might not, obviously, you might not comprehend the text completely by end of one lesson.
Okay.
What are some markers, some milestones on this pathway to comprehension that you can set? So, hey, if you can do the X, Y, and Z, this is on the pathway to comprehension. And you might, those pathways or markers might happen over the course of several lessons, but within this lesson particularly, okay, everybody, I want you to be able to do what? That let's on this pathway. We're not going to be totally there yet, but we're on the pathway. So maybe it's one or two milestones today, particularly today, that you want to get through, that you want to be able to have them visibly do for you or see.
Like, okay, so if we are so what I typically would do is have them read the questions first. That's one of my little strategies, so that when they're reading in the text, it kind of puts off a little light bulb when the question comes up. So I would say, I know I have it when I have highlighted or annotated the correct answers in the text to the comprehension questions.
Oh, so you're having them first read the questions, which doesn't necessarily need to be a success criteria. That is kind of part of the strategy, but lesson. Really, it lets you how they're interacting with the text is definitely going to be something visibly that lets you know whether or not they indeed are on the pathway.
Okay.
So as you mentioned, read the questions, but then the visible part, okay, if their annotation aligns with the question, right? So it's not just that they're annotating, like, because I can annotate a bunch of stuff as a student, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can say, hey, look, I annotated. I can't annotate. Well, I annotated. What is, why aren't I on that pathway to comprehension? Well, because you didn't annotate the correct things, right? What you should be annotating is items that relate directly to the question that you read. Okay. So like, you want to make sure you rope in the purposefulness of the annotation into your I can statement, not just say, not leave it vague, make it measurable and keep it explicit so students can directly see, oh, not only am I annotating, but my annotation has to align to the questions. And so in order to do that, first thing I got to do is go read the questions, right? I can't jump to annotating, right?
So that makes them automatically go and read the questions.
Yeah, it should ping their head, right?
Do.
Right, it should ping. Okay, well, in order for me to annotate first, I really got to do a kind of a sub thing, a side thing. I got to go read the questions, come back to the text, and then I can start annotating.
All right, so I think I'm ready to try to write it.
Let's do this.
I'm gonna share my screen. I already put up my today I share. All right. So, I should have the standard in here, don't you think?
Yes, you definitely have the standard.
Okay. I do have my standards pulled up. So this is one of the standards, but I don't know if that's sharing, but oh well, let me copy it. I'm going right back to this. All right, this is the standard. And what I like to do is not have all these words in there. So I'm going to say standard.
How do you choose to eliminate certain words?
Oh, because by the end of the year, like that's too much. By the end of the year, I'm going to say read and comprehend literature. I'm going to take all that out.
So it sounds like what you're doing is you're highlighting the aspect of the standard that you're focusing on today specifically.
And making it to where I'm not, because my goal, Jesse, I don't put my stuff up for the administrators or for the district to come by. I'm actually putting this up for the kids. So a lot of times my mindset has to be, I'm not doing this just so that I don't get dinged. I'm doing this so that it keeps all of us on track. So I'm taking out, okay, read and comprehend. I'm going to say complex literature, just so that I can take that complexity band proficiently, complex literature proficiently. With scaffolding needed at the height, build background knowledge. So I'm going to take all of this out because I know that we're making text to self, text to text, but we'll get there eventually. But right now, today, I don't want all that drama up there.
Mhm.
So I'm going to just put this here and then I'll do this so that I know that there's more to it.
Right. But I think for students too, this makes it really simplified, right? Okay. Keeps them really focused for the day only.
Mhm.
We're talking about reading and comprehending complex text. That's
Yeah.
it. That's what we're doing. We're not all the other stuff, as a teacher is going to come later on. But as a student, really my focus needs to be, okay, what am I doing today? That's all students care about. They don't care about tomorrow. Okay, what am I doing right now that I need to be conscious of? That's consistently puts that in front of them so they know what it is.
Because I think some people then will write like a 10-page standard up there and nobody can read that or understand that. It's more like, am I putting this up here so that nobody can say I didn't? Or am I doing it because I really want to make sure that we're all understand what we're doing? And I think that's a clear difference.
Yes. And with that practice, if you do it that way, you're automatically going to take care of the compliance piece anyway. Like it's going to be like, okay, well, yeah, I have it up here. But not only do I have it up here, it's being utilized with my students. It's aligned to what we're working on. We can refer back to it through the lesson. I'm constantly communicating it to my students to make sure they stay on track today. But if it's a big, long thing, you can't use it that way. But if it's succinct and chunkable, like it is here, then it's easy reference for the lesson. You could be working with a student. Hey, by the way, remember, this is our goal. Like we're trying to read and comprehend text, and this is how we're going to do it. So that's our focus for today. It's not this big, long thing they can't wrap their heads around.
And you know what I might do? I might just put this down here so that I have it for myself, because then I'm going to go to the second part. I'm not going to put that on the board, but this will just be like my notes to myself, because I know this will be the next thing. Text to self, text to text, text to world. That'll be a part of what I'm doing, but I at least have that on my notes. This is what I'm going to put on the board. Right.
And as a teacher, that's really important. Like you want to, in your mind, you want to have a pathway laid out. Like students don't have to have the entire pathway. They can say, okay, this is what it works on. This is what we're going to get towards. Okay. But today, the whole pathway isn't being done. Like eventually we're going to get there. But as a teacher, you definitely want to make sure you have a good understanding of the pathway. So that way, okay, you can meaningfully, intentionally plan lessons as you go around, and they're all aligned in that pathway.
Absolutely. Okay. Do you recommend doing Today I Am, so that do you recommend doing it in any certain order, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. It's a personal preference. I just like to plan with the end in mind. In this case, if we're thinking about that, okay, what is that I want students to what am I going to visibly see students do to let me know they got it? So that sometimes you can work your way up. But if you want to start with learning intentions too, there's no correct way.
Okay. Well, I like that there's no correct. People can do it how they want.
Oh yeah, you can choose which one, because you're right now at this point you're ready to write it. So it's not like we're deciding what these are going to be. We've already talked it through. It's just a matter of kind of putting it in this language.
So I'm doing a little Harry Potter thing. So I'm giving the kids a little kit where just how they can use it. It's going to be super cute, but that's besides the point. I made an acronym, which is what I do. I think in acronyms. So Harry, HARRY, is close reading. So it's highlighting for H, it's annotating, it is retelling, rereading, and then you've got it. So I want them to be able to do all those things. So what if I said, and I thought your reaction I thought you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I thought your reaction would be way better.
It's pretty cool.
Okay, thanks. So what if I put in here, I know I have it when my Harry annotations, my Harry should I say my Harry, I want to say highlights. I don't know how do I want to say that. How about I just don't put Harry, because somebody might be like, oh, come in and be like, you're Harry. So how about my highlights and annotations? My highlights, and I'm just going to say in annotations, match the answers to my comprehension questions. And I'm going to say, and I am able to retell what I read.
Now, for the highlights and annotations,
Mhm.
are they aligning do you want them to align it to the questions that are being asked of them at the end of the text?
Yeah, so the questions would be, what I would tell them to do is like, let's read the questions. All right. And then I would want them to highlight things that answer the question and support their answer.
Gotcha.
So my highlights and annotations match. Get that out of here.
You say
Highlights.
match, maybe even provide evidence to
Match the answers to my comprehension questions and provide evidence. I could take that part out that I'm able to retell what I read. Let's say I might put that back in. They match my highlights and annotations. How about my highlights match my the answers to my, because I'm going to tell them to match the answers to my comprehension questions, and my annotations are evidence of those answers. That sounds confusing.
Mhm.
So then what do I do? How about my highlights or my markups? The markups, what should I put?
Listen about, so we want to make sure the students are highlighting and annotating, or highlighting and annotating text that will allow them to construct a response to the questions, right? So they're gonna use what they're highlighting to formulate a response to the questions. That's kind of what the process is.
How about match the evidence I need to answer the comprehension questions?
Mhm.
So
My highlight on the text, yeah.
my highlights, and I'll just say / annotations. So today, how about I go, okay, so that I can comprehend complex literature. I'm just going to say comprehend on a deeper level. Is that good enough, or should I say more?
I actually kind of like what you had the first time, comprehend on a, because it connects it directly to the standard then.
Okay.
Comprehend on a comprehend complex literature.
Agreed.
So there's no question that in somebody, it just, again, you want to make sure the standard is kind of aligned to these three things, and it kind of directly pulls it from the standard.
Not just on the surface. I like to make it sound like I'm writing it. Like I like to hear my voice in it. And I would write that. That's me. Okay, so today I'm going to say practicing close reading protocols. No, just close reading. Is that good enough?
Well, what is it you're trying to, so this is kind of the day I am, so this is where the learning aspect, what is it students are trying to learn about today? They're using the close reading strategy, but what are they learning to do, or what are they learning about?
They're learning about comprehending, they're learning how to comprehend text. So I'm saying I'm practicing close reading skills so that I can comprehend literature proficiently on a deeper level, not just on the surface. I will know I have it when my highlights / annotations on the text match the evidence I need to answer the comprehension questions.
Right. And something,
or could I say today I am answering comprehension questions, or I'm reading and answering comprehension questions by and practicing close reading skills. What about that?
today I am reading and answering comprehension question in order to practice, or practicing. I'm not sure that lines up with language there. Reading and answering comprehension questions, practicing.
I can just say using close reading skills. So that I can comprehend complex literature proficiently on a deeper level. I don't like that word proficiently.
Yeah, I think you just kind of leave on a deeper level there.
I know I have it when. So what do you think about this? Because this could be for a couple of days. If that's what we're doing, we're reading. What do you think?
Yeah, I think depending on like today, I know there's more to the standard, and the retelling part, it could come next, right? Because I think this is kind of a doable thing in a class period. Okay, I'm going to read and highlight and annotate. That's basically that's all I'm focused on today. The retelling, the other parts of the standard, the other parts of the strategy, we're not worried about today. They might not even aren't even really responding to questions today. They're just really reading the text,
finding the evidence
they would use to respond to the questions. Because that in itself, if you think about it as a teacher, and this is something that you could, now this is where you kind of, the next step would be kind of create my agenda, like off this. So, okay, what are students actually going to, what's the things they're going to be doing in order to get here? Well, number one, you're going to have to read the questions first before you can actually go highlight. Read the questions, read the text, and then go back in the text and then decide what evidence from the text you're going to highlight and annotate to allow you to respond to those questions. So you're going to be doing, several little small steps that day. That's kind of where your agenda comes out. Your agenda isn't this, but your agenda is informed by this.
This is going to be easier when I do it for the next time, because the next time I'm just going to change this. I know I have it when I am able to retell what something like that. So this is still going to stay the same. So I might change this up a bit, but the first step, because some people I already know are thinking like, there's no way I'm not about to be able to write this every single day and think through all that every day. But this is what you would be doing before before you start, then you're planning, and then you're going through it, and then you're thinking about what you're going to be doing is basically, and it's not hard once you sit and think about it.
Right. Well, initially it's his little legwork to kind of think about, okay, intentionally think through, okay, what's my standard? How am I going to deconstruct the standard to make it manageable for students? So one, it keeps us all on track, but two, it's easy to reference and communicate. Because now throughout the lesson, you can easily refer students back to this. Okay, this is what we're focused on today. It's not everything, but it's the highlighting annotation part by reading the text. So you can easily pull everything back in to focus and reference what we're supposed to be working on today.
And this not only informs my agenda, it helps, it's a stepping stone. So then the next thing that I'm going to do is down here. I'm going to then start moving into background knowledge. I'm going to start doing text to self, text to text. So that's what was Harry doing here, and comparing these two statements, and then text to world, text. How do you feel about that? What would you do in that situation? So I'll be able to then move on by using this little. It took me just a few minutes to do, and then I can build on it. All right. Yep. So what grade do you give this? If you were walking by my room and I had this up, were you giving me an A+?
Well, I think because it's you, I'm not sure. This is because I don't like you.
Oh gosh. Okay.
But no, this is something that's one, I know as a person coming into the room, this teacher has taken time to not only deconstruct the standard, but make it purposeful and intentional for students to be able to refer back to it, easy to communicate, and it's chunked, right?
You can tell I'm thinking.
It's not the whole entire standard. Like I'm working on one bit of the standard today. That's it. And that's really important when you create your learning intentions and such criteria. It's for today. You might be doing the standard multiple days, which most cases we are, but today, what is it I want them to really focus on today? And it really allows the student to wrap their head around, okay, today I'm working on doing this. So I need to laser focus on this. If you have the entire standard up there posted, or if you're doing too much with a success criteria or too much with your learning intention, students can't wrap their heads around it. And so that it doesn't become meaningful to them. Whereas this is, straightforward, it's chunked, so they can wrap their heads around it. And then you can easily give some type of exit ticket to go with this too, to see where they are. Hey, or give them some self-reflection, a short self-reflection question. Hey, how did you, were you able to find evidence today in the text that provided you responses for the answers? And you could do a quick exit ticket. Hey, a lot of them did, maybe some didn't. And based on that, tomorrow, hey guys, today as a bell ringer, we're going to go through one question together that you read yesterday, just to make sure you had a good understanding of how to find your evidence in the text. As an example,
I
of how you
like
could use
that.
that.
I'm even imagining sitting around a group of kids and when we finish the chapter being like, okay, what'd y'all highlight?
Mhm.
What did you highlight? What did you highlight? What did you write? And then go into the questions and seeing, okay, then what else could you have highlighted? And I like that at the end doing an exit ticket on a scale of 1 to 5. How well did your highlights match the evidence you needed to comprehend the text?
Yep.
So anyway, this is now getting me excited to get started. I'm really looking forward to it. So I hope that this was helpful. I really think that you guys can handle it. So number one takeaway, when I sit down to do it, I'm not doing this for compliance. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for my kids. So we all know and we're all clear about what we're doing. I'm thinking about my standards. I'm thinking about what are my outcomes? What do I want my kids to do? Why do I want them to be able to do it? And what am I going to do to make sure that they're able to do it? And this is going to inform, even though it takes a little bit of time in the beginning, I don't have to do this every day. This is now going to inform my whole unit, how I'm getting started. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you, Jessie. You always give awesome ideas. Let me stop sharing so that you can see us bigger. So if you need anything, ask Jessie, not me. Bye.
Take care.
Oh, wait, I almost ended the meeting. I just want to stop recording. Come in.